more words of peace now, and we're going to go live to, just going to show just how international we are. We're going live to Mumbai in India, where we're joining actor, producer, UN Secretary General's Advocate for Sustainable Development Goals, UNEP's Goodwill Ambassador, Ambassador Wildlife Trust of India, Artist Ambassador Save the Children, Board Member Sanctuary Nature Foundation, the one, the only, Dia Mirza. Welcome.
Well, Dia, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us from India.
Thank you for having me. This is such an exceptional event, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
Right.
We are honored to have you here, and I know you do so much already. Can you tell us what you're going to be reading today?
Well, I looked hard, and I found something that resonated very deeply with me. I found this wonderful speech given by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and I've grabbed some excerpts from it that I'm going to be sharing with you all. It's powerful, it's relevant, and I think he's a man who really embodies compassion and cares deeply about world peace. So his words now.
It's perfect words of peace. Take it away in your own time.
Thank you. As the 20th century draws to a close, we find that the world has grown smaller and the world's people have become almost one community. Political and military alliances have created large multinational groups. Industry and international trade have produced a global economy, and worldwide communications are eliminating ancient barriers of distance, language, and race. We are also being drawn together by the grave problems we face: overpopulation, dwindling natural resources, and an environmental crisis that threatens our air, water, and trees, along with a vast number of beautiful life forms that are the very foundation of existence on this small planet we share. I believe that to meet the challenge of our times, human beings will have to develop a greater sense of universal responsibility. Each of us must speak, must learn to work not just for his or her own self, family, or nation, but for the benefit of all mankind. Universal responsibility is the real key to human survival. It is the best foundation for world peace, the equitable use of natural resources, and through concern for future generations, the proper care of the environment. Today's world requires that we accept the oneness of humanity. In the past, isolated communities could afford to think of one another as fundamentally separate and even existed in total isolation. Nowadays, however, events in one part of the world eventually affect the entire planet. Therefore, we have to treat each other and each major local problem as a global concern from the moment it begins. We can no longer invoke the national, racial, or ideological barriers that separate us without destructive repercussion. In the context of our new interdependence, considering the interests of others is clearly the best form of self-interest. I view this fact as a source of hope. The necessity for cooperation can only strengthen mankind because it helps us recognize that the most secure foundation for the New World Order is not simply broader political and economic alliances, but rather each individual's genuine practice of love and compassion for a better, happier, more stable and civilized future. Each of us must develop a sincere, warm-hearted feeling of brotherhood and sisterhood. Adopting an attitude of universal responsibility is essentially a personal matter. The real test of compassion is not what we say in abstract discussions, but how we conduct ourselves in daily life. Still, certain fundamental views are basic to the practice of altruism. Though no system of government is perfect, democracy is that which is closest to humanity's essential nature. Hence, those of us who enjoy it must continue to fight for all people's right to do so. Furthermore, Democracy is the only stable foundation upon which a global political structure can be built. To work as one, we must respect the right of all peoples and nations to maintain their own distinctive character and values. In particular, a tremendous effort will be required to bring compassion into the realm of international business. Economic inequality, especially that between developed and developing nations, remains the greatest source of suffering on this planet. Even though they will lose money in the short term, large multinational corporations must curtail their exploitation of poor nations. Tapping the few precious resources such countries possess simply to fuel consumerism in the developed world is disastrous. If it continues unchecked, eventually we shall all suffer. Strengthening weak, undiversified economies is a far wiser policy for promoting both political and economic stability. And idealistic as it may sound, altruism, not just competition and the desire for wealth, should be a driving force in business. We also need to renew our commitment to human values in the field of modern science. Though the main purpose of science is to learn more about reality, another of its goals is to improve the quality of life. Without altruistic motivation, scientists cannot distinguish between beneficial technologies and the merely expedient. The environmental damage surrounding us is the most obvious example of the result of this confusion. But proper motivation may be even more relevant in governing how we handle the extraordinary new array of biological techniques with which we can now manipulate the subtle structures of life itself. If we do not base our every action on an ethical foundation, we run the risk of inflicting terrible harm on the delicate matrix of life. That's Dalai Lama's words of peace.
Thank you so much, Dia, and beautiful, wise words. Before is it okay if I keep you? We keep you here for a while. We want to talk a little bit more.
Sure,
is that
absolutely.
all right?
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, first of all, why did you choose
because
them to be your words
so
of peace?
apt and relevant, and the fact that he tied in altruism to a human approach to everything that we do, whether it is the way we conduct business or how we live every day, or it's the way we respond to science, and the fact that he connects all life on earth as one, which is a reality. I think this crisis that we are experiencing as a shared human community illustrates the fact more than ever before that we are all connected. All lives are connected, and it is our broken relationship with nature, and it is this exploitative character of business and this false idea of growth that has led to this ecological imbalance that has in turn caused this pandemic and threatens to cause many more. So if we really want to build back better and hope to achieve our goals in this decade, we have to acknowledge this first, that our relationship with nature has been fundamentally flawed. We need to fix it.
We do. You talk about that shared humanity, and even within the words of the Dalai Lama's words, we have to treat each local problem as a global problem. I think sometimes is the mindset that it's somewhere else in the world. It's not ours to worry about. Everything is ours to worry about. Every single individual watching this has a responsibility.
Absolutely. And to assume that understanding in every action, in every day of our lives, can lead to a more peaceful world.
Dia, at this particular time here in 2020, why is peace so important?
Well, peace determines everything. It determines how we feel, how we think, how we respond to life, and all the challenges that we face. And I'm very grateful that the Secretary General has called for complete peace now, and to stop all conflict, because I think now more than ever before we need to focus on coming together as one community and build back from this crisis that we're sharing.
One of the things Jeremy is great at doing is getting so many people involved. What was it particularly that made you want to get involved today?
I'm sorry, Laura, your voice got a little broken there.
No worries. This is the joys of live and the joys of I'm here in North London, you are in India. So it's okay for a little bit of falling out. But yeah, what I was just asking was, I was saying Jeremy is so great at getting so many names and so many people involved, including yourself. What was it that made you want to be involved today?
Jeremy, you're amazing. And I think
Wow.
your team, I have to take this opportunity to congratulate your team. They are absolutely fantastic. I just, it's something that resonated so deeply with me. I recognize that, this is an incredible opportunity for us to come together and really share and discover the possibilities that lie ahead of us, and the fact that, especially at a time when there is just so much anger and hate and all kinds of vitriol online, to come together in a collaborative effort that spreads the message of hope, peace, and love. It's just fantastic. I think the world needs more peace one day.
Definitely. It should be a year-long event. Dia, it's been so fantastic to have you with us today. Thank you.
The pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Laura.
Dia, thank you so much. I'm sure all the team are like over the moon that Dia Mirza has told them they're all amazing. You're amazing. Thank you for joining us for the live celebration. Thank you.
Thank you.